Well, happy 17th of January, Friday. It is my anniversary, and I took a few minutes to come out. I thought I'd get on here and just give a little bit of my opinion, so that you know where I know I said I probably wouldn't speak too much about it again, but I decided I better explain myself a little bit. Okay. The channels out there that have pretty much danced around this David R. that is a big giver. Everybody knows how I feel. And yes, I have a mistrust of David because of, I think there's strings attached. And the fact that he attacked a channel pretty thoroughly that I follow closely and I back it. And I didn't particularly care for. He was calling Lisa a liar on there over something that was disproved immediately in the chat, and that was that his email would not go through, and it was all a bunch of crap, just plain. And I don't know why somebody would want to do an outright lie like that, but they did, and that should have cooked it for everybody understanding. Anybody knows Lisa knows different. Now, the other thing is, I've had several people say, well, that when Guapo was talking about old men and about if they didn't believe in David like he did, or if they had a problem with him, they were not welcome on his channel, period. Okay? And I take him at his word. But there's another thing I wanted to tell you people. Personally, I've always liked Guapo because he's his own man, he's got a big heart, and he's always followed through on what he says he's going to do. And we should all be so lucky to enjoy life like that man does. And he's went through some hardships, and I understand that. Most people do by the time they're 30. It's part of growing up. I took issue, I guess, because I don't mind it being an old fellow. I like it. I like being old. I've got the freedom that a child has. No big things I have to worry about. I've worked my life, and now I'm back to coasting, if you will. What I don't like is when it's used in a derogatory manner. And that's exactly why it was used that way. Using the adjective of an old man, not liking David, would not be welcome in his channel. Now, I realize he probably was talking about another channel. But here I am. I was probably one of the oldest ones in his channel listening to this and had made several comments. None of them were positive for this David, the giver, as a lot of you would like to think of him. I've always been a little cautious about people that give gifts in the way he does and then attaches strings after the gift gets there. That's not a gift, and I don't care how you stretch it. But let's get back to one of the things. It wasn't, if he had said an old man that came in there, and I would understand a little bit. But it still is a descriptive word that was used in a derogatory manner at that point. And when he said men, that's plural. That's not one. If he was mad at just one person, he would have said man, not men. It almost pinpoints you out pretty quick. And whether he meant to or not, I guess it wouldn't be a big deal, except it makes you awful unconscious or conscious of who you are in that chat at the time. Because all of a sudden it's like, uh-oh. No matter what I say, I'll probably be wrong if I say anything more in here. And so I left. I didn't stick around. Why would I? After I listened to that, I knew that I wasn't welcome. Period. I went back and listened to it again just to make sure I wasn't wrong. I was not wrong. He explicitly called out about the rules that he has for his channel. And it's his channel, and I can tell you right now, I would expect people to follow the rules I have in my channel as well, because it is my channel. And Guapo has that right in his channel. That he added a descriptive portion of it that was derogatory, because I don't consider being an elderly person necessarily derogatory. Only in the context of the speech it was. It was meant as a downplay or a downer for the person. I didn't appreciate it. I don't appreciate it today. As old as I am, I still possess a lot of knowledge. I haven't forgotten a lot of things. Maybe where my keys are from time to time, but that's kind of the extent of it. The things I've done have given me a lot of insight in what I should or shouldn't do. And luckily, I'm still alive, so I can share some of that with people that want me to share it with them. The fact that somebody like me is not allowed on there because of my beliefs, it would have been simple enough to say, look, if you can't say something positive about Dave, please don't say anything at all on my channel. Because now, the other thing is, I understand why Dave was upset. When Dave was, they played Dave, whoever, I think it's more involved than this David R. And I'm going to give you the reason. One of the things that they know is that Guapo has a big heart. And what's the one thing that he likes to do? He likes to give. He's known for that big heart. And he pretty much tells you up front how he's feeling at the time. So when he says it, you can kind of take it to the bank. That's what he means. Those reasons that he's that way is why I've been a big fan of his. Still am. I just don't like the way he talked about me. Or at least old men, as he put it. The fact that I'm not going to go on his channel is because he made it very explicit in his channel that I would not be welcome because of my age and my feelings. He didn't call me out. And I realized it was probably somebody else that he was calling out. But I was in that group. And I was in his chat. And I did make comments on there that were not positive. They weren't necessarily negative, but they certainly didn't back this David up, because I don't care for this David. When they looked at what was the one way that they could go after him and control him, I hate to say it, but they used his good heart as a control portion, okay? And each channel was looked at by this David R. as to how can I get across? How do I get my influence across? And it was very easy to each channel to figure out what was their Hercules heel. The art of giving with your heart. And that's what Guapo does. I guarantee you he's got a good heart. So what best way to get to him? Number one, go in there and treat all his people to memberships, if you can. And that was done. And that got him noticed, not only by Guapo, but by everybody in his chat. And Guapo gets pretty good money out of the fact that people are getting gifted memberships. And that happened in all the channels that are having a problem with, what's the common bond? Jeremy, isn't it? Think about it. Okay. So now, if you move into the thing and say, Guapo, I am going to sponsor the giveaway for you today. For as long as you want to give, get in there and get it. You talk about a light bulb going off. And you talk about a gift. I can't think of anything better to give if there's no strings. And man, this thing lit up. At that point, he didn't know it, but he was bought and paid for. The man that stood on his own 2 feet faced all these obstacles. He was able to look at somebody and decide what he did not want to be. And I wonder if that man that he didn't want to be didn't have something to do with what came about. Because who would know better on how to get under Guapo than Jeremy? Who would know that better? Now, most of the old-timers, older people like me, they've seen this game over and over. Companies play it all the time. They buy stock when a company's starting to go down, and then they get controlling of the stock. And if it's a competitor and they decide to sell quick, the company goes under, and they can pick up the pieces, the contracts that those companies have. And they did it fairly cheap because they invested, took the investment back out. It was a game. The company goes down, they go in there and pick the pieces up, mainly customers. Maybe a buyout sale. I've seen it happen over and over. And you can do that with people very easily. And you just seen it. It happened. But not just to Guapo. Other channels fell into that same trap. And you're talking to a lot of really good people. And the common denominator of all of them is one person. His name is Jeremy. Now, I don't know why this David R. for sure did go to all these channels. But doesn't it seem strange? Doesn't it get you to wonder a little bit? If you're a detective and you go out and you're trying to solve a mystery and it becomes multiple problems, you look for that common denominator, don't you? I mean, everybody that's a mathematician out there says, hey, I know what a denominator is, a common one. Real life has that same thing. What is the relative thing that defines each equation? The reason I looked at Guapo a little closer is I said, you know, there had to be a reason why this guy went in there and did what he did with Guapo's channel. And with the dissension that was happening while I was in there that day, even among the mods, was some were worried about what he was saying because this guy had been making negative remarks about somebody else that was in there, Lisa Lee, at the same time. That is a person that if there was ever anybody that Guapo should have appreciated, it was Lisa. Lisa's jumped on his bandwagon a long time ago. And as far as I know, she's still on his bandwagon. For me, I was warned in no uncertain terms, goodbye. You don't like David? Then you're an old man. I don't have to be told twice, even though I went back and looked twice at the statement. And the other thing is, like I say, there's somebody come in there and said, well, it wasn't meant just to you. That was meant towards somebody else. But the statement says men, not man, men. And I'm in that group, and I'm proud to be part of that group. I've told you over and over, I like being retired. I appreciate the age I've got. The good Lord has given me so many things I can do with it. So with that, I'm going to let that part go. Now, as far as the rest of this stuff, you know, I don't hold anything against, in real terms, against any of the people that have fell for these gifts, because it's hard to turn down cash, very hard. And I've explained to you the difference between cash and a regular gift, and the strings and what it does to you. It indentures you to the person if you're not careful. Some of the channels, they need the money. You know, they're fairly desperate in trying to get their channel up off to a running start. And it takes money. It takes a lot of dedication. And it does take some sense up here too. Not just sense in your pocket, but up here. And a lot of them, I really appreciate, and most of them have welcomed me in their channel. I've only been asked to leave one, and I let that known. And like I say, I'm not going to violate rules in anybody's channel. If I'm welcome, I'm welcome. If I'm not a big deal. I'll go my way. It does not hurt me in any way, shape, or form. Most people I welcome in here, as long as they're not mean, and as long as they don't repeat themselves over and over and over in my channel, trying to get something across that they've already said once. They don't need to repeat it multiple times. And when that happens, I usually go ahead and ghost them out, or at least remove what they're saying in there. I don't do it out of meanness. I just do it to mean people that are trying to be mean to me. Well, for all you people out there, I hope you have a good day. And mine is going great. Like I say, it's my wife and I's anniversary. I'm not going to stay on here very long. I just thought I'd better straighten the hair out a little bit because I have had comments. And yes, Guapo is a good man. Just because he made a statement on his channel that I took issue with does not take away from him. He's a young fellow and he's on his way up. And he is somebody that is going to make something out of his life. He is just not the kind that's going to sit still. He will make it. I know that. And I wish him well. He didn't need me in any way whatsoever. And I'm already at where I'm going to be. I'm not going up and I'm not going down. I'm right here till the Lord calls me home. And I'm looking forward to when that day comes. I'm not going to run from it at all. Matter of fact, I've ran from very few things in my life. I always look forward to that next step because it's there. Part of life is looking for the right path and taking a step at a time and be happy with it as you get there. Makes for a happy life all your life. So try not to take what I say too negatively. And I don't want anybody out there to just go out and say you don't want to be around the channel because of something I said. It's not worth it. Just because I take issue with the way somebody has said something, that doesn't mean there's something wrong with that person. It just means I didn't like what they said or did. That's all. And as far as I'm concerned, Guapo is a good person. He may misspeak from time to time, I don't know. I don't know him well enough to make too many statements like that. I just know he made one statement that I disagree with wholeheartedly. You know, before I was his age, quite a bit before I was his age, I was sitting at a desk. And it was with a company. Anytime you get on your lawnmower out there and you have a hydrostatic transmission, one of the first patents I ever had was on equipment that made that transmission. The very first transmissions. Yeah. Those are hydrostatic, and they were called Cub Cadet at the time. The company that made them was called Sunstrand. I was one of the designers in the engineering department, and I took over the automation department in a very short period of time, and I was one of the youngest guys in the engineering department. But it was because I understood how to do certain things, and I took different classes. And some of them were pretty advanced in automation, and that's why I was in automation department, designing equipment to make that. And we were in the tooling part. That means in the first 2 years, for that transmission being developed and put out into the public. And our research and development department had these lawnmowers running all over the parking lot, trying to beat that transmission up. And we put thousands of hours of operation on transmissions with no wear. At the time, they were solid steel, if you will. The micro finish on them made them last for just about ever. All you had to do is keep debris from getting in the transmission, and you could do anything you wanted with it. You couldn't hardly break it. And we even put them in big John Deere tractors, a form of that type of a transmission. So my time going back when I was real early, I did a lot of things that I know when you're young, your brain works fast and how you can do different things. I got into construction because there was more money in it. The job I had there was a great job. Most jobs I had, I loved them. I mean, it's part of your growth, mental and physically. You do what you have. Matter of fact, when I left there, I was hanging sheetrock, and it paid a lot better than working in an office, even as a designer. And they even offered me a lot more money to stay there if I would, but I didn't want to have to quit every time I wanted a pay raise. It doesn't pay because someday they'll take it. They'll say, okay, goodbye, and shake your hand on the way out the door. Other times, if you're lucky enough and they feel you're worth it, they'll pay you more money. And at the time, my twins were just born, and it was very expensive. They were born a month premature, and quite frankly, the bill for them was added up to about a year's pay. And I didn't have insurance for it at the time, so I had to pay all that. It was not easy, and I did work a couple of jobs. With that, I'm going to let it go, and like I say, please don't walk away from Guapo just because of how I feel about it. And the fact that I won't be there doesn't mean you don't have to be there. He's got a good future ahead of him, and with people out there that have been following him like they have been, it'll be a better future for him, and through his growth, he will get a lot smarter. I really believe that he is a man that is growing. Okay? And I wouldn't say that if I didn't mean it. Most of you have heard me enough. You know I'm giving you as much as I can out. And I tell it like I see it. I just do. You guys have a good day out there. I hope the Lord blesses all of you. With that, what's John say? Let me see. Oh, yeah, ta-ta.